Courting versus dating. Is there a difference? Let's get into it. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. As you can see by today's title, we're going to be talking about some of the fundamental differences between courting and dating. So without further ado, let's get into it. Number one, purpose. The primary goal or purpose of courting is marriage. It's a serious and intentional process where two individuals are really evaluating each other to see if they can truly see the other person in their life for the long run. And what does this intentional process look like? Well, for one, it's asking intentional questions. It's not just, oh, how was your day? How were you feeling? What's your favorite color? What's your favorite genre of music? No. It's asking about questions circled around spirituality, around finances, around mental health, around physical health. You know what I'm saying? It's asking all those intentional and sometimes uncomfortable questions. And it's truly observing someone in different environments, different settings, how they speak with people, maybe their parents, maybe if you guys go out on a chaperone date, how they speak to the waiter, their mannerisms, their thought process, how they are when they're inconvenienced. It's all those little things, but all of them add up to you deciding at the end of the day if this is truly someone I can see myself with for the long term. Now, when it comes to dating and the purpose of dating, it's a bit more different. With dating, it's a lot more casual. Oftentimes, marriage isn't even the subject of the conversation. Like a lot of people in today's day and age, they just date to date for companionship, for fun. What did Drake say? I'm not here for a long time, just a good time, something like that. Like, no commitment. We're just dating sometimes just for sexual benefits, just to say that you have someone. Like, there's literally no intent behind dating. It's just two people getting together just for the heck of it. In many cases. Some people may disagree, but personally, I look at dating as just friends with benefits. Because if we're not getting married, then what's the point? So again, just to reiterate, the purpose of courting is two parties coming together seeking a long-term commitment, marriage. Whereas with dating, it's a bit more casual, nothing serious. Next, there is the subject of parental or community involvement. You have family involved, you have mentorship possibly from elders or sisters for the sisters who are courting. You have a lot more structured meetings from an organized setting, if that makes sense. So my husband and I, while we had our parents involved with our courting process, we also had people involved within our religious organization, Israel United in Christ, guiding us within our courtship. And I'm sure each organization is probably different, or everyone's family involvement might be a bit different, but I can only go by my religious organization because that was my experience. So in my experience, my husband, when he made known his interest, he did so before the leadership of the school, the deacons, the captains, who made it then known to my father. So, they had a little talk or whatever, and they brought me into it. And, long story short, that's how we started our courting process. And during that courting process, my husband and I, we each had someone that we could speak to how things were going along the line. Almost like a counselor, For me, it was one of the deacon's wives. And whenever I had an issue or just a question about something, make sure I wasn't tripping or I wasn't just being too emotional, I would go to her. I wanted to know, hey, do you think this is a red flag? Hey, am I overreacting? Do you think he handled this well? Like, I wanted to make sure during each step of the way that I was just getting the proper guidance. I didn't just want to rely on my own emotions, my own feelings, my own wisdom, because hello, this is new to me. I don't really know. I've never done this before. So it was really helpful to have that person that I can go to. And mind you, this wasn't a person that was just all buddy up with me. No, this was someone who I know could check me when I was wrong. And that's so important when you're courting as well. I think when it comes to dating, I know I didn't touch on that area yet on this topic, but when it comes to dating in the world sense, there's no much really accountability. It's always, yes, girl, you're right. Oh, how could he do that? How could he? No, not in courting. In courting, you need to be held accountable if you were wrong for something. You need to make sure that you have those friends that are going to call you out, because you can't always be right. That's what builds the toxicity within our community. No one's checking each other for the wrongdoings that we're doing. So the behavior, everything just perpetuates. So I'm so glad that I had her as my counselor. I know my husband had his own counselor that he could relay certain things to. So again, it's just a lot of structure and organization when it comes to a community who has helped building this foundation of marriage. And of course, we got to know each other's family as well, because my husband and I are both family-oriented people. We might not have families that agree on everything in terms of like our beliefs on certain things, but at the end of the day, we both respect each other, we both understand each other, and that was really important to us, to make sure that we both, had families that we could see ourselves with in the long run when it comes to, maybe raising our kids and stuff like that, That's important. And honestly, seeing how the family conducts themselves shows me a bit more about how he was raised, in how his mom operates, how his dad operates, how they operate together, the love between him and his siblings. It says a lot. It's very telling seeing a person's upbringing, because a lot of the trauma and stuff that we face today as adults stems from our childhood. So I want to go back and see how it's like with your family, how they communicate with each other, all those things. I'm a very observant person, and you should be when it comes to that. Now, when it comes to dating, that parental or community involvement is pretty much to a minimum to absent. It's not always there, because when it comes to dating, those two people are going to do what they want to do independently within their own boundaries. Like, they're not looking for you for advice on this, they're not looking for your affirmation on this. They're going to do what they want, because again, this is something casual. There's no real purpose towards it, so why can't we just do what we want? Next, this should possibly go without say, is boundaries. When it comes to courting, they are strict boundaries. It's more so focused on the emotional and the spiritual connection than any physical connection at all. Okay, it's seen as a way to guard the heart, to ensure a true strong foundation on shared values is there before anything. People hear stuff like this and they're like, what, you haven't kissed? Like, when it comes to me and my husband, people didn't believe that we didn't kiss before we got married. People couldn't believe that we didn't get intimate. We didn't do any of that stuff before we got married. Like, it's just so foreign in today's language, because people today, they just meet each other and they hook up. When it comes to courting, you want to make sure that you have a deeper connection with someone, because again, we know our purpose, we know our intent. I want to see if you and I can possibly get married in the future. And I know if I get physical with you, it's just going to cloud my judgment. I'm just going to get confused. So let's just put that intimacy to the side, leave it for its rightful place, marriage, while we get to know each other on a deeper level. Now, when it comes to dating, it's not to say that there are no boundaries, because you have women say, oh, I'm going to do the 90-day thing. I'm going to do this. Their boundaries, however, are just a bit more flexible. Those physical and emotional boundaries are often explored early in the relationship. They might be a bit limited in the beginning just for comfort and to feel people out, but more times than none, that intimacy is oftentimes initiated early in the relationship. And honestly, the issue with that, look at our community. Look at how many single parent homes we have. Look at all the baby mamas that we have. Look at all the girls that we know that are going to men they know are no good for them, that do not take care of some of the kids that they already had. They just dead. Like, look at the state of our community. If you want to know if dating is such a cool thing to do, it's not. Because I guarantee you, if you took the time to get to know that man initially, if you had asked him intentional questions, got to know his parents, got to know him just more as a person deeply and emotionally, you would have saw all the red flags had you done so, instead of just jumping in bed with him because he looked good, because he spoke to you what you wanted to hear. And you know what I hate to say, if our community is honestly a testament of how trash dating can be. Honestly, no, it's not just our community, but our community is definitely on the rise when it comes to that. Now, the next thing is compatibility. When it comes to courting, compatibility is a must. When it comes to family expectations, maybe career goals, maybe moving goals, if you guys plan on maybe being somewhere different in a year, everything has to align, because if you aren't on the same page, it's honestly just going to cause bickering and animosity down the line later. If I know me and my husband from courting, I know at some point, maybe within the 1 or 2 years, he's going to want to move to, let's say, Florida, hypothetically, then, if that's something that I agreed to while we're recording, then it's not a surprise on me. It's something that I expect and I agreed with. I said in my marriage, yes, I am going to move with this man in Florida, maybe within 1 to 2 years, whatever. We understood that from the get. It's no surprise. But sometimes life happens. Sometimes the plans that we might have for ourselves might be different from what God planned out for us. But even so, are you still going to have that flexibility and that willingness to say, okay, I'm going to put my career on hold, or I'm going to put what I like on hold, whether it be a career, whether it be a location, whatever it may be, for someone else? Are you going to have that flexibility? It's those uncomfortable conversations, like even kids. Let's say you guys have kids and your husband wants you to stay home and watch the kids, and he'll be the one to go to work while you stay home and make sure everything is okay. Are you willing to do that? These are the uncomfortable conversations that you have beforehand when it comes to courting, because again, you're being intentional. You're laying everything on the table to let this other person know what it is that you see for yourself in your future. and that person can agree or disagree to walk away from that. Maybe it might not be for them. Now with dating, compatibility is often explored, but in a more gradual way. Couples might focus more so on their shared interests, hobbies, chemistries, things like that. But because there is no long-term commitment, there's no purpose to the dating, it doesn't really impact either party. So it's like, okay, you plan on doing this for your career and then you might want to move to Hawaii, then okay, you can do that. But after that, it's over, you know? Whereas when it comes to courting, that's going to have to be something you're going to consider in the future. Would I be okay with moving to Hawaii? It's a lot of intentional thinking. It's a lot of consideration, again, just to really see if this is something that I can see out for my life. It's a lot of that. Whereas with dating, there's no pressure there really, because you're just doing this for fun, casually. And I'm not sure if I touched on this point, but I would say also the duration when it comes to courting and dating is different as well, because with courting, there might be a bit longer of a time frame because again, this is deliberate, you're intentional, you have a lot of things that you're accounting for before you just say yes I do all of that. Whereas with courting, there is no timeline. Like some people date for years on top of years on top of years before they even consider the idea of committing. Some just hook up for a night and call it a day. Like there's no timeline. When it comes to dating, there's a lot less pressure to make any decisions because there's no timeline. It's a bit more flexible. So all in all, to wrap up this video, I will say this: if you are someone who values tradition, structure, with the clear intention of being married, you do not want to play any more games, you want to have a clear vision for your life with an individual, courting is the way to go for you. And honestly, it should be, in my opinion, the way for everyone, because marriage is an honorable thing. Dating is more so for those individuals who are self-paced. They don't want anything long-term, no commitment, nothing of the sort. Something casual, something quote-unquote fun, a good time, something that can possibly go on for years, you know? So honestly, if you want to be in a relationship with someone with no commitment, anything of the sort, then dating is probably for you. But it's not something that I would advocate on my channel, because I look at the condition of my community and I see what casual dating has done, and the goal of my content is to change that. The goal of my content is to put out that which uplifts marriage in the spotlight that it needs to be in, because it's a beautiful thing, contrary to popular belief. Yes, it's work. Yes, there are going to be some hard times. Yes, it's a lot of sacrifice as well. Yes, it's a lot of considering. Like we said, when it comes to courting, it's a lot of you really thinking, is this the right thing for me? Like, can I really see myself with someone like this? It's a lot of that. But you know what? It's a beautiful thing in the end. And it's beautiful than you just laying up with Tom, Dick, and Harry and popping out their babies every month. I mean, come on. You young ladies were meant to be someone's wife. You were created to be someone's wife, not someone's side piece. Okay? You were meant to be a rib. All right? You was not just breasts and thighs. I put this content out not to belittle or be misogynistic or anything of the sort, but because I want so much better for my people. I'm tired of seeing us in the estate that we're in. I want us to rise higher, okay? Because I want so much better for you, because I love y'all. I really do. So I hope you guys found this video helpful. Give it a thumbs up if you did. Please share it with your friends. Tell a friend to subscribe. And I really hope that these little tips that I gave y'all help to clarify the differences between courting and dating. I'll see you guys on my next one. Shalom.